This will never work, Ali. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another very special Lily lockdown quiz where we ask a few questions, have a bit of fun, and raise loads of money for the Lily Foundation. I'm Kevin Day, comedian, writer, broadcaster, ex-table tennis champion of the UK, lover, poet, fighter occasionally in car parks, and exaggerator, and I'm your quizmaster for tonight. I'm, of course, none of those things. I wasn't the UK table tennis champion. I was, however, the first secretary of the UK Olympic Snowshoe Association for 3 weeks. How's that? Now, before we start, I just want to tell you why I'm doing this for the wonderful Lily Foundation. I first got involved with the Lily Foundation about 11 years ago when a slim, sober Jonathan Pearce, it must have been 25 years ago then, when a slim, sober Jonathan Pearce sidled up to me one night after a Palace game and asked me for some advice. I said, well, you could maybe get a haircut and not shout so much at the end of commentaries, but turned out he wanted advice on raising money for Lily. I organised and hosted the first Comedy Store show, and I've done them all since. So I know you, a lot of you from then. Please God, we'll be back at the Comedy Store together in 2021. But until then, it's lovely to be with you in spirit tonight. Now, a few words before we start. I'm not actually this big. I do have a normal size face. Zoom puts about 3 kilos on you, and I am leaning forward. I'm certainly not as big as that living photograph I asked them not to tweet to publicise this thing, which I've only got. Look, it's two. I'll admit to 2 chins. I've got 18. That's not fair, is it? And also, I apologise to you. Obviously, Jonathan Pearce and I share the same. That's a woman in the background. That's just. Oh, that is my wife. Yes, that's good. I thought maybe it was a present from the foundation, but there you go. It'll just be another bottle of wine, I imagine. Now, a few words before we start. As I say, I'm not technical. Now, I'm currently juggling lots of bits of paper, 2 laptops, a mobile phone. I've had various ladies from the foundation Skyping me from their flats and houses with advice, which I will admit is a scenario I've thought about on occasions, but not in these circumstances. So if something goes wrong, it will be my fault, not yours. And I'm sure that Liz or one of the other people at the foundation will tell me as quickly as possible. Just going to very cleverly, look, I even worked out sightlines as well. Look, get rid of a piece of paper. So technically, tonight's quiz is just for fun. So no Googling. That's a joke for 3 people watching. No Googling. But I know some of you take these things very seriously. I take quizzes very seriously. I'm afraid this is a true story. 2 years ago, I was asked to leave a charity quiz because I did kick off a little tiny bit because we lost by 1 point. My team was the amusingly named Crystal Phallus. We lost by 1 point, and that 1 point was a geography question, the answer to which was the moon. Now, geography means Earth. And the moon is very much not on the Earth. I'm not technical, but the moon is not on the Earth. And I kicked off to such an extent that I was asked to leave. I will maintain to my dying day that I didn't kick the table over deliberately. It did go over, but that was judging. So look, take it seriously if you wish. And for those of you that really take it seriously, I'll do a little deal with you. I'll do a little deal. Come close, just for you. I'll do a little deal. You bung the charity a few quid, I'll bung you a few extra points. Is that all right? That's just between me and you. A few quid, 3 points. Now, we have 40 questions for you over 5 rounds. I'll be honest, if you're a 17-year-old doing this on your own, you might struggle with some of the old-timey questions. If you're a 75-year-old doing this on your own, you might struggle with some of the newfangled questions. But if you're in a team, I think they're a good range of questions. And don't worry if you don't know. It's not a quiz, is it? It is a quiz. Technically, it is a quiz. But if you don't know, you don't know. You'll just learn a bit. There's no shame in not knowing. So my general knowledge, I'm very good on general knowledge. History, very good on history. Football, great. Science and nature. No, I'll just sit out science and nature. It's enough for me that I flick a switch and the light bulb goes on. I don't care why, frankly. Is that an oak tree, a chestnut tree? What am I, Chris Packham? Doesn't matter, does it? So don't worry if you get it wrong. And now, one thing I do hate in quizzes, and we've all been doing a lot of lockdown quizzes. The one thing I do hate is when somebody reads the questions and then they read the questions again, and at the end somebody goes, "Oh, my dog sneezed. Can you read out question 3 to 5 again?" Or "Grandad dropped a biscuit. Oh, we have to find it. Can you rush out question?" No, I'm not repeating. I will read the questions a couple of times. I'll read them slowly. I'll give you clues, and I'll give you a few moments to digest. And before I give you the answers, I'll read them again. But it's going to take a big donation to the charity for me to repeat questions, okay? Or a sad eye emoji or a picture of your cat. But in general, you'll have enough time to work out the answers, confer, and end. So we've got 5 rounds for you. So the first round is who played. That is basically about who played various things in films and TV. Then we've got general knowledge. Then we have sport. And then we'll have a break for wine, by which I mean I will have a break for wine. And then we've got music and food and drink. This week, unfortunately, there isn't a round all about Jonathan Pierce. I wish I'd been here for the quiz at a round all about Jonathan Pierce. If you're good, I could ask you some Jonathan Pierce questions, but trust me, he wouldn't want me to. All right, Jonathan, you know where to donate. Anyway, so we'll do the answers at the end of each round. I'll give you a couple of moments now just to get your pens and papers ready. I'll do a couple of shout outs after the first round because I'm not a natural leader. I'm not a natural quizzer. I'm more of an answerer than an asker. I'm the bolshy one who goes, "That's not right. It was 1067, wasn't it? Battle of Hastings." But so if we're all ready and we're going to join in, you'll see plenty of links. There'll be plenty of shout outs. I will try and read messages that come up in live chat, but otherwise I'm relying on the lovely ladies at the Lily Foundation and Paul, of course, that's a chilling sound. My wife's laughing in the background. That's never a good sound. Okay, so are we ready to play the quiz? Jonathan Pierce has just said that he will donate £20 if Kevin says, "I hope Brighton stay up." Well, I'll tell you what, Jonathan, I'll donate £30 and not say it. How's that? Let's not, by the way, let's not start playing that game because I've lost all my work. So that's the last 30 quid. I've just given away next week's food budget. So let's not start challenging each other for money. So the first round is who played, right? So the first question in who played is, might be helpful if I get the question right there. It's quite insincere, that insincere smile, isn't it? First question, who played Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind? Who played Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind? And kids, don't worry, it's not just your granddad. I guarantee there will be middle-aged men all over the quiz going, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn." Who played Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind? Also, the questions, by the way, will be coming up in the live chat. If those of you who struggle with hearing, perhaps the questions will be, or my accent, let's face it, the questions will be coming up in the live chat. So that was the first question. Who played Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind? And remember, we'll give the answers at the end of each round. Coronation Street. Who played Hilda Ogden in Coronation Street? She was also in Last of the Summer Wine, but I think most of us remember this actress playing Hilda Ogden in Coronation Street, a wonderful, wonderful working class character. One of the saddest things on TV when the night her husband died in it, Stan. So who played Hilda Ogden in Coronation Street? I shall pause here for my first sip of wine. I've been very professional so far. 8 minutes and 38 seconds without a sip of wine. That's the sort of professional you're getting for no money. Question number 3. Who played Marty McFly in Back to the Future? Who played Marty McFly in Back to the Future? I imagine those of you with young people in the house will have been watching that film during lockdown many times. So who played Marty McFly in Back to the Future? Question number 4 of 8. Who played Bryn in Gavin and Stacey? Who played Uncle Bryn in Gavin and Stacey? Somebody I know. And at the end of the round, when I give the answers, I'll tell you what his nickname used to be. Sorry I keep doing this with the glasses, by the way. Opticians is shut and the arm has come slightly loose. So it's not a deliberate Ronnie Corbett impression, which is also a hint to the answer to the last question. My other glasses, and I'm afraid this is true, got broken when Palace unexpectedly scored against Watford. They fell off, and it's worth it. You lose a pair of glasses for. They should have settled the Premier League on current form, shouldn't they? They really should. We'd be in Europe now. Who played Bryn, Gavin, and Stacey? Question number 5. Who played Wolverine? Who played Wolverine? And I'll give you a clue. My wife really fancies him. Doesn't narrow it down much. All of you people at home saying, well, it obviously wasn't you then, Kevin. Yeah, thank you. Who played Wolverine? Do you know, it's much harder than I thought it would be to not read out the answers. The whole thing's hard enough. It looks like Cape Canaveral, this desk. So I've never seen somebody's laptop. I'm just hoping my dad doesn't try and call to say he calls to say goodnight, which is very sweet, but that could be anywhere between 6:30 and 1:30 in the morning, to be honest. So who played Wolverine? Question number 6. Who played Hyacinth Bouquet in that wonderful sitcom? I don't know why I say wonderful sitcom. I didn't like it that much. My mother-in-law loves it, so she's not playing. So who played Hyacinth Bouquet in that all right sitcom? Keeping Up Appearances. Of course, her name was spelt Bucket, but she pronounced it Hyacinth Bouquet. So who played Hyacinth Bouquet in Keeping Up Appearances? Yeah, I'm like a cat. I know when I'm being talked about. The first thing I've noticed in the live chat is Jonathan Pierce saying, "I'm a lovely man." Thanks, Jonathan. You're all right. You're a lovely man too, Jonathan. Of course you are. I miss you all. It's going to be fun, isn't it? The next quiz back at the Comedy Store. The next gig back at the Comedy Store. I went for a walk in Crystal Palace Park today. There was a bar serving lager, and I had my first pint of lager in a park. Oh my God, it was terrible lager that it tasted like nectar. I've never tasted nectar. Not a fair comparison. So who played Hyacinth Bouquet in Keeping Up Appearances? Question number 7. Who played Alfred in the Dark Knight trilogy, the Batman films even? Who played Alfred in the Dark Knight trilogy? I'll give you another clue. It's the only impression I could do, actually. And even that's only ballpark, to be honest. And sometimes occasionally sounds a bit more like my Uncle Bill. God rest his soul. That's brought the mood down, isn't it? Who played Alfred in the Dark Knight trilogy? And finally, in Who Played, question number 8, who is the voice of Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story? Who is the voice of Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story? Now, a couple of shout-outs. First couple is quite exciting. I think this is the first shout-out I've ever actually done. Last week, there were 3 joint winners. That's very good. So congratulations to the Flu Fighters. Good name. Team Skeng. There's a story behind that, Team Skeng, isn't there? And Oxford Mito, all of whom got 32 points, which is a good score. I think this is not an easy quiz, I have to say. When I tried it, I got some wrong until I didn't Google. No Googling. So well done to them. Happy birthday to Paul Templar for today. Happy birthday, Paul. Very many congratulations. Paul is a huge supporter of the Lily Foundation. Thank you, Paul. And organises a charity football match every year in Wales. Well done. He ran the London Marathon. That's brilliant. And had a team of 62 friends run the virtual marathon for us recently. Well done, Paul. That was all in memory of his niece, Mia. That's well done, Paul. In fact, the last charity football match I played, this is my final name drop of the evening. My first and final name drop. I did the Sport Relief continuous 5-a-side game, and I didn't realise it was continuous. I hadn't done a lot of training. Luckily, my first touch was really good, and then Alan Shearer took me out from behind. He doesn't like me. I think it was deliberate. So well done for organising the football match, Paul, and well done for raising so much money. So are we ready for the answers to who played? And the questions were: who played Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind? Who played Hilda Ogden in Coronation Street? Who played Marty McFly in Back to the Future? Who played Bryn in Gavin and Stacey? Who played Wolverine? Who played Hyacinth Bouquet in Keeping Up Appearances? Who played Alfred in the Dark Knight trilogy? And who is the voice of Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story? Andrew Smith, Jings. We just found out we were joint winners. That's Team Skin. I'm sorry if I keep missing these things down the side. I'm trying to concentrate on many things. Anna Foskett, a shout out for the Fosketts and the McCulloch Pickerings. That's nice. And Ian Dodd is asking, when is the bingo round, Kevin? So they've got, as you can see, got the tombola balls there. They're left over from a show that I did with Arthur Smith, in which his shocking idea was to have these tombola balls representing jokes. As you can see, there are 32 balls and he only had 24 jokes, so we dropped that. I haven't positioned it properly. I've got a picture of Jerry Murphy on top of the organ, the piano, for anybody else. So right, are we ready for the answers? Who played Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind? Congratulations if you said Vivien Leigh. Vivien Leigh. The wonderful actress who played Hilda Ogden in Coronation Street was Jean Alexander. Jean Alexander, probably my favourite Coronation Street character, Jean Alexander. Of course, Marty McFly in Back to the Future was played by Michael J. Fox. I can shout out to Wendy Wood, who loves to boogie. Who played Bryn in Gavin and Stacey? It was Rob Brydon. Rob Brydon played Bryn, or as we used to call him back in the days on the circuit, Toilet Duck. Because every time he turned up somewhere, he'd just been doing a voiceover for Toilet Duck. Done well for himself, isn't he? And now I'm stuck in a garage in front of a load of bingo balls. Who played Wolverine? Hugh Jackman played Wolverine. Yes, Ed, you can have a shout out for your daughter Poppy. Hello, Poppy. Poppy is a mito warrior. Hello, Poppy. Hello, Ed. Who played Wolverine? That was Hugh Jackman, yes. Who played Hyacinth Bouquet in Keeping Up Appearances? That was Patricia Routledge. So well done if you said Patricia Routledge. Who played Alfred in the Dark Knight trilogy? Not before the others, not after the others, with the bloody others. Roger Moore. No, of course, it was Michael Caine. So Michael Caine played Alfred in the Dark Knight trilogy. And the voice of Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story was Tim Allen. Tim Allen. So there we are. Who played? I hope you did well on that. Just give you a couple of moments to get your act together. And we'll move on to general knowledge. I apologise, my cat is lurking about. I love my cat dearly. But she doesn't like me doing stuff on Facebook and Zoom. So if you see a large, furry black and white object suddenly appear in front of you, don't panic. Grumbling Git's got 8 out of 8. Alison Griffith, 6 out of 8. 7 out of 8, good. Ian Dodd, 8 out of 8, get in, very good. Matthew Roberts, Matthew's being beaten by his wife. These are all good scores. All good scores. I won't read them all out because we have a lot of teams playing. Thank you for playing. Some of the families we've got Team James, Team Harry, Team Sebi, Team Jakubowski, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Team Emily, sure I pronounced that correctly. Team Arthur's Angels. Arthur? Really? Okay, Arthur's Angels and Team Aiden. By the way, of course, this is all about trying to raise money in difficult circumstances. So I'm sure Liz and the others will have put things all over the screen whereby you can donate, raise money, etc. So, general knowledge. Are we ready for general knowledge? The first question on general knowledge is, broadcaster Chris Evans now hosts a radio breakfast show on which station? So, self-proclaimed broadcasting genius Chris Evans, a man who, let me tell you, and don't ask me how I know, is not very well endowed. And I know that because he's constantly showing everybody not very much, basically. Apologise for those of you with young children, but they have to learn sometime. So broadcaster Chris Evans now hosts a radio breakfast show on which station? Question number 2 in general knowledge. What does AC stand for when used on a button on a calculator? I tried to think of something witty to say about that, but thank you. Sorry, I looked away there because my Ali, who I adore, all of you who work for the charity realise how much I adore my wife, but she does think I'm an idiot, and it basically is pointing at things on the screen I've already read out. But she wasn't to know that because she was making fish fingers for herself and the cat. Question number 3. I, Robot is a 2019 autobiography from which former England footballer? I will give you a clue. He actually wrote some himself. He's one of the brighter footballers. Actually, I regret saying that because most of the footballers I've met are bright, intelligent young men. And most of them are doing amazing things during lockdown as well. There's an awful lot of fundraising stuff going on from footballers. But of course, the tabloids don't like telling people about that because the prevailing mood is that they are all greedy idiots. So I, Robot is a 2019 autobiography from which former England footballer. Question 4 is an interesting question. It's a true or false. Netflix began as a DVD rental service. Is that true or false? Netflix began as a DVD rental service. Is that true or false? Shout out to Nanny Valerie, Lily's grandma. Hey, hello, Nanny Valerie. Always ready to shout out to Nanny Valerie. I wonder if Nanny Valerie knows whether Netflix began as a DVD rental service. I bet she was all over the Chris Evans question. Sorry if I shocked you, Nanny Valerie, with the Chris Evans not being very well endowed. Very ginger as well. Not that I'm probably giving out too much information here, aren't I? So Netflix began as a DVD rental service, true or false? Ian Phillips has asked for a shout out for Nigel because he lost his job today and he's very upset about it. I'm truly sorry to hear that, Nigel. A lot of people are being made redundant. A very good friend of mine was made redundant yesterday. So Nigel, if this quiz helps to cheer you up in even a tiny, tiny way, I hope it does so. And I hope you find another job very quickly. So question number 5. Now be careful with this one. I'm going to give you an extra 15 seconds to think about this. I'll read out some shout outs while I do it. How many actors have played the role of James Bond? How many actors have played the role of James Bond? I'll give you a clue. It's probably one more than you think. So how many actors have played the role of James Bond? And remember, outside what I think they call the canon of official James Bond films, there are other things. Oh, I think Ian's done me like a kipper. Kirsty is just one of many people who have pointed out that Ian is probably talking about Nigel Farage, who lost his job today. If Ian is talking about Nigel Farage, well, I really wasted that sincerity, didn't I? I was moving myself there. If it is Nigel Farage, I don't give a stuff. If it is genuinely Nigel, I apologise for intimating. I'm all over the place now. So can we make the shout outs clear? I'm a clever man, but I'm concentrating on the quiz here. We've got a shout out to the 2 Katies who have joined forces tonight to make a dream team. I'm saying nothing because Mrs. Day is a yard away from me. So Dale Keegan, shout out to Max the Mito Warrior. Have I done that before? No. Big up to Team James. Okay, so how many actors have played the role of James Bond? I think you've had enough time to work that out now. Question number 6. Which artist painted the Mona Lisa? Which artist painted the Mona Lisa? I don't think you need so long on that one. But which artist painted the Mona Lisa? Which Stephen King novel, and there are many to choose from, but which Stephen King novel takes place mostly in the Overlook Hotel? It's probably one of the most famous, and it became one of the most famous films. So I'm doing that with the glasses again. Those of you who are late won't know why I'm doing it, but in the spirit of not repeating questions, I'm not repeating anecdotes either, especially when it wasn't particularly fun in the first place. Which Stephen King novel takes place mostly in the Overlook Hotel? And finally, which UK airport has the IATA code GLA? Which UK airport has the IATA code GLA? So the little letters you see on your baggage tag, GLA. I'll give you a clue. I was once so badly hungover that I got the taxi to take me to this airport instead of the one I was supposed to go. There you go. Tara Rutgers, can you say hi to the lovely Lily ladies, please? I think I've said hi to the lovely Lily ladies quite a lot, but of course I can. I'm always happy to say hi to the lovely Lily ladies. Are we ready for the answers to general knowledge? If you recall, I asked you, broadcaster Chris Evans now hosts a radio breakfast show on which station? What does AC stand for when used on the button on a calculator? I, Robot is a 2019 autobiography from which former England footballer? Netflix began as a DVD rental service, true or false? How many actors have played James Bond? James Bond? I don't know where that came from. James Bond wouldn't get a job if he spoke like that, would he? Which artist painted the Mona Lisa? Which Stephen King novel takes place mostly in the Overlook Hotel? And which UK airport has the code GLA? And the answers are: broadcaster Chris Evans hosts a radio breakfast show on Virgin. Virgin. The AC on a calculator stands for all clear. I, Robot is written by one of the nicest people in football. It was written by Peter Crouch. Peter Crouch? I haven't read it. He hasn't read my book because my book's not out. Will be soon. Watch this space. Netflix began as a DVD rental service, true or false? Congratulations if you said true. It was called Kibble. Yeah, I thought that would make the cat look up. It was called Kibble. And it's changed to Netflix.com and Netflix. So the answer is true. Netflix did begin as a DVD rental service. Now, how many actors have played the role of James Bond? The answer is, and I should probably have said in films, not radio shows and stuff, but the answer is, how many actors have played the role of James Bond? The answer is 7. I'm going to pause there because I guarantee that that's one of those answers where people will be going, no, what? Oh, and somebody will be going, I told you. And somebody would have gone, well, 00, so obviously 7. It was 7. You probably all got Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, and George Lazenby. But the one you may not have got, who played in a very early spoof, was David Niven. David Niven played James Bond. Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa. The Stephen King novel that takes place mostly in the Overlook Hotel and was turned into one of the most scary films I've ever seen. I don't do scary films. The Shining. That was The Shining. If you are looking for a film, by the way, Parasite, the South Korean film, it's one of the best things I've seen. I watched it last night with my son. It was fantastic. And the Stephen King novel was The Shining. And finally, in general knowledge, the UK airport with the IATA code GLA is Glasgow International. Glasgow International. Okay. Our next round is sport. And then after sport, we'll have a little break for what I'm doing now. I suggest arbitrarily it'll be a 4-minute break, but here we go with the sports questions. Some good scores coming in there. Well done. Good thumbs ups. We've got a lot of teams playing tonight. It's fantastic. Dale Keegan says, I'm not sure about that Bond question. Well, I'll take it up with the question setter, I'm afraid, who is not me. The questions have been set by a very intelligent young man. I don't know if he's young, actually. I've only spoken to him via text, so he texts like a young person. 4 out of 8, David, that's fine. Don't worry. If you don't know, you don't know. Flu Fighters are having another good week. Elizabeth Waller, 8 out of 8. Melissa Streets had a much better second round. Well done. Matthew's being beaten by 2 points by his wife now. Doesn't matter, Matthew. It's 2020. It's fine. Sport. So, sports. 8 sports questions. Again, I'll give you a bit of time to answer these. I think even those of you who, like me, normally go, right, sport, just don't worry about this, 8 out of 8. These are not, they're not easy sports questions, actually. I had to think about a couple of them, actually. So, question number 1, which sports person was top of the 2020 Forbes Sporting Rich list, earning $106.3 million? Which sports person was top of the 2020 Forbes Sporting Rich list with $106.3 million of earnings? I'll give you a clue. I immediately thought it was a racing driver. It's not. I'm also slightly distracted now because I thought I had a massive spot, but it turns out to be a bit on the screen. If I move it, now I've got a mole on my upper lip. Now I've got a beauty mark on. Okay. So which sportsman was top of the 2020 Forbes Sporting Rich list with $106.3 million of earnings? That's more than Jonathan Pierce gets, and he gets 40p a mile travel expenses. WBC light welterweight boxing champion Jose Ramirez is what nationality? WBC light welterweight boxing champion Jose Ramirez is what nationality? Is he American? Is he Mexican? Or is he Puerto Rican? So is welterweight boxing champion, light welterweight boxing champion Jose Ramirez is what nationality? American, Mexican, Puerto Rican. Who is the current Professional Darts Corporation darts champion? Who is the current Professional Darts Corporation darts champion? Is it Peter Wright? Is it Phil Taylor? Is it Michael Van Gerwen? Just again distracted by the beautiful Mrs. Day, but mainly because she's got a massive plate of fish fingers on her lap now. I don't think there's anything sexier than a beautiful woman with a plate of fish fingers on her lap, is there? Really? If you're that way inclined, fish fingers. Who is the current Professional Darts Corporation darts champion? Is it Peter Wright? Is it Phil Taylor? Or is it Michael Van Gerwen? Which Formula One team was owned by a family who run a worldwide chain of clothing stores of the same name? So even if you're not a massive sports fan, you might be able to link these two up together. Which Formula One team was owned by a family who run a worldwide chain of clothing stores of the same name? I'm being doubly distracted now by Ali trying to eat the fish fingers quietly. Which is Ali trying to do anything quietly is a recipe for noise, basically. For an ex-dancer, she didn't have to come down them stairs heavy, is what I'm saying. Which Formula One team, sorry, I just had a fish finger thrown at me. Which Formula One team was owned by a family who run a worldwide chain of clothing stores of the same name? Jonathan Pierce has, of course, corrected me to say he gets 32p a mile travel expenses. I had a feeling he might do. I mean, he probably could get, never mind this. In horse racing, now I will allow a little leeway for this one. In horse racing, what is the purse, i.e. the prize money, for the Dubai World Cup race finale? I believe it's the richest prize money in horse racing. And I'll give you one either way. I think I'm that sort of guy. Summer Freya says hi too. So in horse racing, what is the purse for the Dubai World Cup race finale? And I will give you a point for one either side as well, of course, for the right answer. I know that will infuriate some people. You say you either know it or you don't, but I think it's quite a difficult question. Now, a football question. Finally, you'll be saying a football question. I wanted to make all these questions about Palace, obviously. Question number one was going to be which officially is the oldest football team in the Football League. Question number two was going to be which football team will be the most watched Premier League team ever on the BBC, because mysteriously the BBC have got Bournemouth Palace as their first ever live Premier League game. That will empty the streets. It'll be like lockdown's back again, won't it? And it will have about 7 million viewers. I say mysteriously, let's face it, the BBC weren't going to get Liverpool Everton for nothing, were they? So, football question. Who is the only player to win the Champions League with 3 different clubs? Who is the only player to win the Champions League with 3 different clubs? And I'll tell you what, as I'm in a good mood, even though I've been duped by people into being sympathetic to Nigel Farage, I'm going to tell you what the clubs are, because I know not everyone's a football fan. Even as I said that, I realise that if you're not a football fan, telling you the clubs won't help. But who is the only player to win the Champions League with 3 different clubs? And those clubs were Ajax, Real Madrid and Milan. Okay. Question number 7. I did not know this, I guessed. I guessed right. Of course I did. In cricket, what is the difference between the popping crease and the bowling crease? I just realised a lot of you see me at the Comedy Store. You only seen me wearing glasses before. Improvement? Not improvement? I used to not be able to talk while I was wearing glasses, which is really odd. But the older I've got, the more I've had to rectify that. In cricket, what is the difference between the popping crease and the bowling crease? And finally, question number 8 in sport, and we'll give you the answers to these and then have a little break. So in rugby union, who is England men's all-time top try scorer? In rugby union, who is England men's all-time top try scorer? Can't really give you a clue on that because it's not my sport, I have to say. Basically, a public schoolboy cheated, picked the ball up, ran with it, should have been told off. But no, they just went, new sport. It doesn't happen in a pub. You started throwing the pool balls at each other, you wouldn't go, oh, new sport, would you? So, are you ready for the answers for the sports questions and then for our break? Oh, Sarah Povey gets an extra point for saying you wear your glasses well. Thank you, Sarah. Wow, you've infuriated Mrs. Day, but thanks, Sarah. 2 extra points for Sarah. Not in the Norbury area at all, is it? Never mind. She's only sitting there, she knows. Which sports person was top of the 2024 Sporting Rich list? WBC light welterweight boxing champion Jose Ramirez is what nationality? Who is the current PDC darts champion? Which Formula One team was owned by a family who run a worldwide chain of clothing stores of the same name? In horse racing, what is the purse for the Dubai World Cup race finale? Who is the only player to win the Champions League with 3 different clubs? In cricket, what's the difference between the popping crease and the bowling crease? And in rugby union, who is England men's all-time top try scorer? I've just noticed I've had a message from Liz. I presume this will be to tell me off about something, but let's have a look. Yes, this is from Janet, who's looking after me tonight as well as this. Please, can I tell Sarah that I'm incandescent? I'll keep for it in. Sarah's a regular at the Lily Comedy Store night and loves to hear those words. Which, if that isn't a hint that I should write more new material, I don't know what is. But I do write a lot of new material, but that routine I love. So incandescent. I can't do the swear bit, Sarah. I'm very sorry, because there are children watching. Okay. Is that the same? If that's the same Sarah, it's not a different spelling of Sarah. I was going to say, if that's the same Sarah who wears my glasses, this is turning into a good night. So, which sports person was top of the 2024 Sporting Rich list? I must admit I was surprised by this, but the answer was Roger Federer. Roger Federer was the answer to that one. The WBC light welterweight boxing champion Jose Ramirez is American. American. The name obviously is Mexican, Puerto Rican, but of course it's also American. The current Professional Darts Corporation darts champion is not Phil Taylor, it's not Michael Van Gerwen, it's Peter Wright. Peter Wright is the current Professional Darts champion. The Formula One team owned by a family who run a worldwide chain of clothing stores is Benetton. Benetton. In horse racing, the purse for the Dubai World Cup race finale is $12 million. $12 million. So as I promised, if you said 10 million, or if you said, no, not 10 million, if you said 11 million, or you said 13 million, then you can have the point. So 11, 12, or 13 million will get you the points, but the answer is 12 million. The only player to win the Champions League with 3 different clubs, Ajax, Real Madrid, and Milan, Clarence Seedorf. Clarence Seedorf is the answer to that. The distance between the popping crease and the bowling crease in cricket is 4 feet. 4 feet. And in rugby union, the England men's all-time top try scorer is Rory Underwood. Rory Underwood. So that's the end of round 3. We'll have a quick break. It's according to one of my 15 laptops, it's 2024. Let's come back at 2030. Let's come back at 8:30. See you in a bit. Mrs. Day told me not to touch anything. But something's come up on the screen, Mrs. Day. Those of you still watching might be able to see Mrs. Day now. It's that, so I'll just do later. Thank you. Yeah, those sports ones were hard, Dale Keegan. We love sport. I'll be perfectly honest. I got 6 out of 8. I was a bit annoyed, actually. Okay. slow down.
Before you do the end, you've got to say the next week's history. Yeah. You've got that bit. Sing the first message.
Yeah. You sure I don't need to press anything else? We're just back live now. Okay. All right then. Hello everybody. I hope we're all back. I hope Mark Jones is not so ashamed of this 3 out of 8 sport that he's gone off to do something silly. Steve McWater says that sounds like the cat is using a knife and fork to eat the fish fingers. I wish my cat was clever enough to. I love my cat dearly, but Mrs. Day doesn't agree, but she's a dimwit. Not Mrs. Day, or Mrs. Day's very intelligent. The cat's a lovable dimwit. Which somebody once described me as, which is quite sweet. Amanda Norris has asked to say, Team Harry, say hi to Jan and Neve in London, and Jan and Gordon in France, and Simon in sunny Southend. Ian Dodd said, my dad just messaged me to say your garage needs a tidy. It's not a garage, it's a workroom come studio. I'm saying that because Mrs. Day's standing there. It was a garage, and then we had it converted into a workroom come studio. It does my, this is my, as I say, my end. I don't get a whole end of the workroom come studio. I get a table. I have to book that, to be perfectly honest. It's not as big as it makes it look massive on here, but it's actually not that big. It's kicking off about the cricket question. Let's see, Matthew Roberts. They're going to describe. For the cricket question, I described correctly the difference between what the pop increase and bowl increase is, not distance, and so I understand the question. Do I get a point or not? Give yourself a point. Knock yourself out. I don't care. I told you. As long as you don't Google, I don't mind if you give yourself points. It's fine. I'm not going to keep Anna Foskett. If you keep asking for the shout out for the Fosketts and the McCulloch Pickerings, and they agree about the garage, that's it. But I'm just trying to work out what those emojis are from Belly. Anyway, don't forget, welcome back to part 2 of the Lily Lockdown quiz. I hope you enjoyed part 1. The questions, some of them were difficult, I agree. Some of them not so. So, as I said before, if you don't know the answer, you don't know the answer. There's nothing to worry about. Next time you get that question, you will know the answer. So, belated happy birthday to our chairman, Ben Carter, for yesterday. I've just got a message from Janet Wilson saying all good, which I believe, knowing Janet, means get on with it. So let's get on with it, shall we? Paula Jones wants a shout out, please, for Mito Warriors Amber and Connor. And Francis Vickery wants a shout out to Mito Warrior Arthur Banks. My apologies if I've missed out some of the shout outs. This live chat is going up and down, and I am a middle-aged man. He's only had that much wine. It is slightly fuller than last time we met. Right, music. So we have 2 more rounds to go. We have music and food and drink. And as ever, I'll read the questions out a couple of times and fairly slowly. No repeats, unless you make a massive donation. Jonathan Pearson said, please don't forget to donate to the Lily Foundation. That's for you, not me. I'm doing this for nothing. I don't have to donate anything. Did that sound harsh? I didn't mean that to sound harsh. Question number 1 for music. Here we go. Which solo artist also had UK top 10 hits with Queen, Mick Jagger and Bing Crosby? Which solo artist also had UK top 10 hits with Queen, Mick Jagger and Bing Crosby? And again, as I'm in a good mood and we're all family, I'll give you a clue. He was a good South London boy. He was a good South London boy. So which solo artist also had UK top 10 hits with Queen, Mick Jagger and Bing Crosby? Jonathan Pierce has just sent me a message to, I was presuming it's to me, to say you are the gift that keeps on giving. I think I made it pretty clear, Jonathan, that I wasn't about to keep on giving. I'm giving of myself. I should have been an actor. I'd love to have been an actor. I've been terrible. I had acted. Played Gary Lineker in a play once. Just once. So which solo artist also had UK top 10 hits with Queen, Mick Jagger and Bing Crosby? Question number 2. Who partnered Annie Lennox in the Eurythmics? Who partnered Annie Lennox in the Eurythmics? Again, it's so hard when the answers are in big bold next to it. It's very difficult. Who had Granny Colin Wells has messaged to say Granny McLeod is 77 today. Granny McLeod, 77. She is Mito Warriors, Rachel and Jojo's granny. She's loving you, Kevin, and she's had enough champagne. Do you know what? That 77-year-old has had enough champagne. Is ticking a lot of boxes as far as I'm concerned. I'm on my way, Granny McLeod. Hey. Happy birthday, Granny McLeod. I hope you're having a lovely day. And I hope you're able to see your grandchildren as well. I know it's been very, very difficult for a lot of us who aren't advisors to the Prime Minister. So I really hope Jonathan Pearce has offered me £20 to tell the Rio Ferdinand story. It's going to take a lot more than £20 to tell the Rio Ferdinand story. Message from see now Lily's granddad's on, because I've been flirting with Granny McLeod. Paul, Lily's granddad's unhappy because Paul likes a bit of a flirt with me at the comedy store. So apparently I owe him a pint in the Clifton Arms. Basically, if you come to the Parsons Arms when it's open, although I suspect the Parsons Arms has been open some way. But Jonathan, you can ask as much as you want. Do you really want me to read that out, Colin? Well, it's in public. Colin Wells, who told me the message about Granny McLeod being 77, and I said I hope that Granny McLeod is with her grandchildren. Colin has just sent me a message to say she's been here for 3 bloody months. So, Granny McLeod, keep drinking the champagne. If you're anywhere new in Norbury, you can come and live with us for a while. Whose surname? Am I blushing? Mrs. Deja said I was blushing. Well, see, if you flirted with me like that, Ali, I wouldn't have to flirt with 77-year-old Granny McLeod, would I? Get her full of champagne. Whose surname, and this is a music question, remember, so this is likely to be a musician or a singer. Whose surname is Goodmansdottir? Jonathan's upping it to £25. Oh, Ollie's going to give me £25 to tell the Jonathan Pearce story. Do you know what? Should we do an adult one of these, Liz, later in the lockdown? Whose surname is Goodmansdottir? I apologise to anybody if I've pronounced that incorrectly. Whose surname is Goodmansdottir? What was Beyonce's first solo #1 single? I'll give you a little clue here. It's what Granny McLeod is with me, and me with Granny McLeod. What was Beyonce's first solo #1 single? Now, I'm going to read some songs here, but surprisingly, only one of these songs. Colin says Granny's on her way. Great. There's a side gate. Surprisingly, only one of these songs made it to #1 in the UK singles chart. Which song was it? Was it Kellis with Milkshake? Was it Oasis with Wonderwall? Was it Elton John with Rocket Man? Was it Blue, Cantrell and Sean Paul with Breathe? Kellis with Milkshake, Oasis, Wonderwall, Elton John, Rocket Man, Blue, Cantrell and Sean Paul, Breathe. Only one of those songs made it to #1. This is not a clue, but Elton John doesn't like me. I did a big gala gig at the Old Vic a few years back, and I pushed the swing door open, and I didn't know Elton John was on the other side of it, and I knocked him over. And unfortunately, I don't know if you've ever seen a tortoise on its back. That's exactly what happened. He couldn't right himself, and I went to help him up, and he swore at me, "Get your hands on it." And then 2 minutes later, I shut Joan Collins' ankle in a toilet door. And just in case you think my entire life is mixing with A-list celebs, the next day I did a radio show with Nigel Slater and Enya. So basically, that's the 4 most famous people all in 2 days, essentially. Didn't like the Elton John. Did you like Rocket Man? I couldn't take to it. So surprisingly, only one of these songs made it to #1. Was it Kelly's Milkshake, Oasis with Wonderwall, Elton John with Rocket Man, or Blue, Cantrell and Sean Paul with Breathe? This one you should all get, I think. Which former Beatle became a narrator on the TV series Thomas the Tank Engine? Which former Beatle became a narrator on the TV series Thomas the Tank Engine? Okay. Which cartoon character beat Westlife to the Christmas #1 spot in 2000? Which cartoon character beat Westlife to the Christmas #1 spot in 2000? I will tell you a story about the cartoon character and I'll give you the answers. But if I were to give you the story now, it would give away the answer. So, but which cartoon character beat Westlife to the Christmas #1 spot in 2000? I imagine they were furious. I've worked with Westlife. They're virtually on the verge of fury most of the time. Whereas Take That have gone the other side, not just furious, all Take That, except Howard, who's not quite bright enough to be furious. Borderline special needs, to be perfectly honest, Howard. Shouldn't have said that. He might be playing the quiz. He'll be losing if he is. And finally, music. Which group had a hit with Just a Little in 2002? Which group had a hit with Just a Little in 2002? So I'll give you the answers in just a moment. But the questions are, which solo artist also had UK top 10 hits with Queen, Mick Jagger and Bing Crosby? Who partnered Annie Lennox in the Eurythmics? Whose surname is Goodman's-Dottir? What was Beyonce's first solo #1 single? Which of these songs made it to #1 in the charts? Kellis with Milkshake, Oasis with Wonderwall, Elton John, Rocket Man, Blue Cantrell and Sean Paul. Which former Beatle became a narrator on the TV series Thomas the Tank Engine? Which cartoon character beat Westlife to the Christmas #1 spot in 2000? And finally, which group had a hit with Just a Little in 2002? And here are the answers. The solo artist who had those top 10 hits with Queen, Mick Jagger and Bing Crosby was David Bowie. I said, good South London boy, born in Brixton, a hero to many people, especially to those of us from South London. Annie Lennox's partner in the Eurythmics, Dave Stewart. Bjork's surname is Goodman's-Dottir. Bjork Goodman's-Dottir. Beyonce's first solo #1 single was Crazy in Love. Now, out of these songs, Milkshake, Wonderwall, Rocket Man and Breathe, the only one to make it to #1 was Blue Cantrell and Sean Paul with Breathe. I got that on my fourth guess, to be perfectly honest. That's a good question and a tricky one. This one, I think most of you will have got. Which former Beatle became a narrator on the TV series Thomas the Tank Engine? That, of course, was Ringo Starr. And finally, penultimately, the cartoon character that beat Westlife to the Christmas #1 spot in 2000 was Bob the Builder. Can we fix it? Now, the voice of Bob the Builder was provided by Neil Morrissey, Palace fan, actor, party animal, and being a good dad. My son Ed Knight, who's a very good comedian, was 5 at the time. 5 was he? When was it? He is mine, isn't he? Yeah. Okay. My son Ed Knight was 5 at the time, so I asked Neil if he would phone Ed up and leave a message as Bob the Builder to say happy birthday to him, which Neil was very kindly enough to do. But unfortunately, Bob did it at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's safe to say he'd been out for the night, and he left. Well, I won't tell you exactly what the message was, but it wasn't appropriate for a 5-year-old. And I didn't listen to it before I played it to Ed. He still doesn't sleep some nights, to be perfectly honest. And the final question, which group had a hit with Just a Little in 2002? The answer was Liberty X. And all of a sudden, we're at our final round. I believe Granny McLeod's on the way, so let's get this over and done with so I can get the side door gate open. So food and drink is our last round. Food and drink is our last round. Remember to donate money if you can to the Lily Foundation. Don't worry if you can't. These are difficult times for everybody. So that's not why we're here. We're here to have a bit of fun. But if you can donate something, please do. If you can't, then don't. That's fine. If it's only a £5, that would be lovely as well. Can I say hello to James Dodd? Hello, James Dodd. The flu fighters are recovering from the sports van. Well done. The Llandudno Jet Set. That's made Ali look up. This is Ali, my wife, was brought up in Llandudno. She went to primary school in Llandudno. What was the name of your primary school, Ali?
Craigydon.
Craigydon Primary School. I should have known that, shouldn't I? As Ali's look is telling me. So if the two Kowalski for the Llandudno Jet Set know Craigydon Primary School, then that's where my wife went. It's a lovely part of the world. First time I went there, I nearly passed out because the air was so clear. And we got stuck in, where did we get? Oh, the Great Orme. We got stuck in a cable car. Beautiful part of the world. Anyway, so food. I digress. That's good. Oh yeah, there was. I think that was quite a difficult round. Grumbling gets on 29 out of 32. Oh, no one likes to show off. Okay. So food and drink, our final 8 questions. Now, the answer to this question, Jonathan Pierce has just sent a message saying Ali's a fantastic woman. Look, Jonathan, I'll tell you what, if it happens with me and Granny McLeod, you know where Ali is. She's gone, that's where she is. The answer to this question is not Team Nodge, 32 out of 32. Well done, Team Nodge. Matthew Roberts has retained his 1-point lead over the... Don't say the wife, Matthew, for goodness sake. It's very disrespectful to talk about your wife as though she's not sitting 3 minutes away. Lily Foundation put the little link up there for those saying we recognise these difficult times, but if you can donate, there's the link. Let's get back to the question. You know what? I'm enjoying myself so much, I'm trying to spin it out. The answer to this question is not okra, okay? So ladyfinger is a variety of which fruit? So we're not talking about the okra here. Ladyfinger is a variety of which fruit? Ladyfinger is a variety. You probably can think about it, can't you, really? Let's don't get patronising, Kevin. They're intelligent people. Question number 2. A bit of nostalgia. If you like a lot of chocolate on your biscuit, which chocolate bar are you recommended to buy? If you like a lot of chocolate on your biscuit, which biscuit bar should you be buying? Or this might nudge your memory. If you like a lot of chocolate on your biscuit, what biscuit bar are you buying if you like a lot of chocolate on your biscuit? This question requires you to think. Right? They all require you to think, but this one, you will immediately think of an answer. What is the most consumed manufactured drink in the world? What is the most consumed manufactured drink in the world? And when I tried this out, it's got a bit hairy. I'll give you a clue. It's not a soft drink. It's not a soft drink. So what is the most consumed manufactured drink in the world? St George's. Glad didn't know people went to a school called St George's. Oh, Ali's really looking down her nose now. Really? What's wrong with St George's, Ali?
That's a very nice school.
Yes, Ali just said it's a very nice school, but her eyes didn't go to her eyes. Ali's dad was the Methodist boss of Llandudno, so she could have had things done to your family. That's right. He ran that town, didn't he? What is the most consumed manufactured drink in the world? I'm going to have a lot of explaining to do when this quiz is over. I don't think I'm going to be allowed back in the house from our workroom come studio. Which bakery launched a sellout vegan sausage roll in January 2019? And I think the question implies that it sold out, not that it was being untrue to its principles. But which bakery launched a sellout vegan sausage roll in January 2019? This probably is a clue, but what I would give for a steak bake. Now, I had that first outdoor pint today. If I could have had a steak bake with that, I'd have been a happy boy. If there'd been football going on, there will be soon, won't there? Brilliant. Yeah. Different. Okay. Question number 5. Which drink is Worcester sauce traditionally added to? Which drink is Worcester sauce traditionally added to? Now, I will accept 2 answers. I'm giving you a clue probably, but I will accept 2 answers here. I think those of you who already know the answer will know what I'm talking about. So I will accept. Tara Rutt says, can we see Mrs. Day, please? Mrs. Day doesn't need to. Ali, do you want to come say hello? Ali says, no, she's just running her thing. Come say hello, come on. It'll be like the end of Scrooged. Mrs. Day, the whole world, Mrs. Day. Yeah. The end of lockdown can't come soon enough. The gap between Ali getting out of her pyjamas and the first glass of wine of the day is getting... Don't look at me like that. Oh boy, am I going to get killed. But we're raising money, so it doesn't matter. And somebody else is hosting next week. The wonderful Lucy Speed is hosting next week. Which luxury food shop has been in Piccadilly, London since 1707? I know a lot of you are in London. It's one of my favourite buildings. It's beautiful. If you ever stop to look at it, it's such a beautiful looking building. So which luxury food shop has been in Piccadilly, London since 1707? And if you remember that brilliant film, The Madness of King George III, there's actually a joke reference to it in there. So which luxury food shop has been in Piccadilly, London since 1707? The penultimate question of the quiz. An hour, 5 minutes and 38, 39, 40, 41 seconds in. I'm going to miss you all. The ultimate question, penultimate question. What is the most common pub name? I will give you options. What is the most common pub name? I could have had that lager and that steak bake in the Parsons Arms. Oh, they've got new pub signs, by the way, the Parsons Arms. That's how often I'm in there that they actually send me a photograph to say they've got new signs, because I've been texting them every week to say, you will be opening again, aren't you? So, unfortunately, I was the 18th person to say, what are you doing with the old pub signs? Because otherwise they'd be hanging up behind me now. I would have put my foot down on that. So what is the most common pub name? Is it the Royal Oak? Is it the Red Lion? Is it the King's Arms? Jonathan and I have been in most of those, but is it the Royal Oak, the Red Lion, or the King's Arms? Which is the most common pub name in, I presume, England, I'm going to say, because a lot of the pubs in Scotland and Ireland are called by the names of the people running on it. So let's say England for now. What is the most common pub name? Is it the Royal Oak, the Red Lion, or the King's Arms? And finally, what does the HP stand for in HP sauce? I'll give you a second here, because you'll probably start arguing about whether or not you like HP sauce. I apologise if you're doing this quiz on your own. You can argue amongst yourselves. I don't apologise because you're on your own, but I apologise that I'm implying that you might have people to argue with about HP sauce. And the look I'm getting from Mrs. Day implies that I should stop digging there. What does the HP stand for in HP sauce? And as you know, no Googling, but I'll give you a moment if you want to go to the kitchen cupboard to see if you've got any in there. What does it stand for? I'll give you a clue. It's nothing to do with food. It's not high protein. It's something clever in that. What does the HP stand for in HP sauce? So I will just pause for a glass of the W in wine stands for wine. So ladyfinger is a variety of which fruit? Not okra, it's a vegetable. If you like a lot of chocolate on your biscuit, what's the biscuit bar? What is the most consumed manufactured drink in the world? Excuse me. Which bakery launched the sellout vegan sausage roll in January 2019? Which drink is Worcester sauce traditionally added to? Which luxury food shop has been in Piccadilly, London since 1707? That's 5:10. It's a tribute to another quizmaster. What is the most common pub name? Is it the Royal Oak, the Red Lion, or the King's Arms? And what does the HP stand for in HP sauce? So, ladyfinger is a variety of banana. Now, there is a chap in the Parsons Arms who swears black is white that a banana is technically a herb. And I've got a sneaky feeling he might be right. But it's a fruit. So, but ladyfinger, whether it's a fruit or a herb, ladyfinger is a variety of banana. If you like a lot of chocolate on your biscuit, then of course you are joining our club. Join our club. The most consumed manufactured drink in the world is tea. It's tea because it's picked, but it has to be made. So it's tea. More people drink tea than anything else. Which bakery launched the sellout vegan sausage roll in January 2019? They do taste exactly the same as the meat sausage rolls, which led to my theory that the meat sausage rolls were vegan all along. And the bakery was, of course, Greggs. So it was Greggs that launched that sellout vegan sausage roll. Which drink is Worcester sauce traditionally added to? The correct answer technically is tomato juice, but I will accept, of course, Bloody Mary, because it's more commonly added to tomato juice and vodka to make, it says here, a delicious Bloody Mary. Is there any other sort? So Worcester sauce is traditionally added to tomato juice, but a point for Bloody Mary as well. Jonathan, you need to stop drinking, Jonathan, because Jonathan just said he loves me and Ali both. It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen, Jonathan. That's definitely not going to happen. Oh, no Googling. We love you too, Jonathan. Of course we do. We do love you. Which luxury food shop has been in Piccadilly, London since 1707? Fortnum & Mason, of course. Fortnum & Mason, and it is the most beautiful building. And if you go, I don't think I've ever. I'll tell you what I have bought. I peeled off from the million-person anti-Brexit march because I took a punt. I thought Fortnum & Mason might be quiet. I bought some honey. First thing I've ever bought in there. It was all right. But I go in there a lot because it's inside. It's the most beautiful building. If you're ever in town, just pop into Fortnum & Mason. It's stunning, both outside and inside. It's really beautiful. The most common pub name, and I'll give you three options: the Royal Oak, the Red Lion, and the King's Arms. The answer is the Red Lion. The Red Lion is the most common pub name. There are 517 pubs called the Red Lion in England, and the HP in HP Source stands for Houses of Parliament. Houses of Parliament. The rumour is that the sauce was used in a restaurant there back at the turn of the 20th century. I believe an MP or a lord took it back from his estate that his cook had bought, had come up with it. So HP stands for Houses of Parliament, and that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and people of indeterminate who haven't decided, is the end of our quiz for the Lilly Foundation. Ian got 8 out of 8 for that round. Congratulations for taking part. If you did well, that's fine. You can tell us. Angela Jakubowski got 8 out of 8 for the first time ever, so that's something, isn't it? You weren't expecting that to happen this morning, Angela. You weren't expecting me to flirt with a 77-year-old woman who's full of champagne, but there you go. Foo Fighters did well again. Tara Rutt says thank you. Thank you to me. That's very kind of you. And Liz has sent me a message to say, I'm not reading that out. Okay. Liz's message says, if team wants to upload their scores, they can do so by following the link in the chat. Jonathan Pierce has sent me a message with 4 kisses, brackets, I have had a few. Maximum points to Team Nodge. Damn, we're good. What's our prize, Kev? If you said, what's our prize, Kevin? I would have given you a prize. I'll tell you what, Team Nodge, if you did get maximum points, and you're the only people who did, then I will offer you, as a prize, 2 tickets for a recording of Have I Got News For You when it comes back. When it comes back with a live audience, which might not be the next series, but certainly will be next spring. So, I think that deserves it if you want to. If you don't want to, you can donate it. So I'll offer you 2 tickets for a recording of Have I Got News For You, which will include a tour of the studio beforehand and an invite to the hospitality party afterwards for free food and drink. So that's 2 tickets for Team Nodge for Have I Got News For You, if they want it. And if they don't want it, please let the people know at Lilly Foundation, and they can put it up as a raffle prize. Thank you for joining Ali and I in this quiz. I'm sorry the cat didn't put in an appearance. Sorry the garage was too big for some of you. But have a good evening. I hope this lockdown ends soon. I genuinely hope that we can all see each other in the Comedy Store in February or March. Granny McLeod, there is a Bloody Mary waiting for you in the Comedy Store dressing room with your name on it. We'll see you again soon. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.
Press the end.
Oh, yeah, I know. Press end now.